afternoon. My name is Joseph Lloyd and I source cars for people on a professional basis, hence the name of my channel, Lloyd Vehicle Consulting. 4 years ago, I was asked to come up with a series of videos that were filmed inexpensively. We don't use digital cameras, we don't use fluid head tripods, we don't use shotgun microphones, we wear tatty shirts, we just use a phone, but we look at cars that you can buy for a budget up to £1,000 only, and we very much enjoy ourselves. These are cars that might be in cosmetically bad condition. You might see oil leaks, rattly dashboards and cosmetic imperfections, but we go all over the country and we find these very inexpensive cars that you all seem to enjoy watching. Right viewers, what a rarity we have on the channel today. It's a 2007 Fiat Stilo 1.4 dynamic. You just don't really see many of these in this country anymore. There are reasons for that, and we will get into some of them in a moment, but what an absolute pleasure to be driving a little car like this. The Stilo was introduced in this country in 2002 and it's replaced with Bravo and Brava, which were sort of much beloved cars by certain people. This one dates from the year that they were discontinued in favour of the second Bravo that came out, and yeah, I suppose it looks kind of inoffensive in a sort of early 2000s kind of way. It was supposed to be kind of like a rival for the sort of Mark IV and latterly Mark V Golf, but Fiat never really quite achieved that, and these depreciate like no one's business, and they do have some problems. But it's amazing to see one sort of like this. It's not in the best condition but possible. There is some rust coming through, and we can see it kind of there at the bottom, but still had one owner for all its life, and it came as a part exchange at Langley Prestige near Colchester, and Simon, who runs the place, got really excited and said, "Do you want to film it?" And I said, "Well, I do, because this is classic no budget reviews, this sort of thing." Let's have a look in the boot. It's quite a big boot in this, actually. It's sort of bigger than the Golf was at the time, I think. I mean, it's in need of some preparation in here to sort of bring it up to scratch, but yeah, let's see if we've actually got a spare wheel in here too. Oh no, we do have the other half of a detachable tow bar though, so that's something. I think these facelifted ones do look a bit better than the sort of earlier cars. So obviously it's all relative, it depends if that's really your kind of thing or not, I suppose. Whilst these two cars decide what they're doing, let's take a look inside, shall we? That jump pack, I didn't actually need that when I came to pick the car up today, so that's good. One thing straight away you can kind of see is that the controls aren't necessarily faring very well after, all this time. Yes, we'll have a look at the other side. We've got a city button. That's one thing that I probably won't be touching today, is the city button, because that will just make the power steering a lot lighter and I won't like it, so we won't do that. But we'll go inside now as everything seems to have calmed down a bit. Let me just pull this door up. So amazingly, this dynamic spec car, you only get front electric windows, but you get dual zone climate control. And last time I actually drove one of these cars, I had to wear gloves. I should have bought my gloves again today. It's like the Apple Newton. It's just all sort of rubberized plastic and it's all falling off, and oh, it needs a clean in here as well. Yeah. Oh well, never mind, let's keep going. Instruments are quite kind of nice and sort of clear. actually very large rev counter and speedometer. You're not going to, you know, miss what speed you're doing. These controls don't feel too bad. They're sort of little... Actually, no, I take that back. The indicator stalk action is not too bad, but this action for the lights is... Ugh. Oh, and of course, this is an early 2000s Fiat, or at least it was released in 2001 in some countries, so you have a parking light thing. Wipers are on the same kind of weird action as those were. Dash is surprisingly nice feeling. Like, actually, even this bit's squidgy. And this bit's squidgy. And you've got dual airbags. This is my favourite though, it's very squidgy. Steering wheel's leather wrap, there's some stereo controls. It's not bad. You avoid that city button. Electric mirror controllers down here. It's been in, you know, tons of Fiats and Alphas and things. Normal handbrake. I don't like this armrest though. That gets in the way of pulling the handbrake on, so I've moved that. But we do get some storage in here. Yeah, and a very, very old air freshener, which we won't use. I wonder what's in the glove box for this. Can we get the secret mission documents in there? Yeah, well, let's just see a second here. Oh, yes. The perfect car for being a spy. A 17-year-old Fiat Stilo. It's got some enormous door pockets in here. My goodness me. That's vast. And we've got some material on the doors, which feels good. It's a good solution to, you know, hard door tops in so many other cars. Got seatbelt height adjustment. I mean, yeah, I mean, back in the day when these were new, this probably would have felt like quite a nice quality car. It's a tray there for stuff. Your sunglasses probably will jump out of there, so maybe not. But yes, not much else to say really. Right, let's get me documents back in the bag, and I will sit in the back of the car. Okay, let's get in. Ooh, bit squeaky hinge. It's a bit cheap here. It's not only if we've not got electric rear windows, we've not got a map pocket here. We just shut the door. Got a door bin though. That's handy. Ooh, with some rear vents. It's really weird. It's like this car's kind of a bit sort of half baked in some ideas. You've got some really nice kind of features in it, you know, that sort of attempt to make the plastic feel better, and the door cards actually have lots of fabric on them, which is good. And space is all right. It's about the same as, I'd say, like a Mark IV Golf or something in terms of knee room. I haven't got a rear armrest, but this isn't the top spec or anything. Headroom is very, very generous. There's loads of it. If you go for the multi-wagon, you get even more than that. Oh, and they've got rear courtesy lights as well. So yeah, it's all right. It's just, I don't know. It just didn't kind of work somehow. But yeah, it's okay. It's reasonably comfortable. The suspension's not the hardest in this car as well, so the ride would be generally nice and comfortable if it wasn't so worn out. But you know, there we go. You can't expect everything, can you? Right. Let's have a look at the engine, shall we? It's interesting that the tab to open the bonnet is red. Did Fiat know something that we didn't at the time, that you're going to have to find that quite a lot? Who knows? Right, here we go. We've got the interesting kind of coolant reservoir there. Don't know why it's interesting, but it is. It's got a blue top. 1.4 fire engine in here, generating about 94 horsepower. Same engine was used for years. The latest car I'm aware of it actually having this 1.4 about this power output was the Tipo. Not the Tipo from the 80s and 90s, the one that was launched in 2016. And in fact, the Tipo Saloon that I drove in 2022 had this engine in it, or a sort of newer version, I think, due to emissions. But not the most difficult things to work on. I don't think by now they had sort of problems with the head gaskets and things. I think that was in the past by the time this car was made. They do have a timing belt though. I hope the timing belt has been done at some point in this engine, because it's done 144,000 miles, so you'd hope that. But yeah, pretty easy to work on, and I think there are some oil leaks down there historically, but and on the top of there, that's pretty common, but not too bad really. Just, you know, as I've said before, it's just quite interesting to see one of these again. Right, let's stop waffling on and go out for a little spin, shall we? Well, viewers, here we are on the road in the Fiat Stilo, and it's quite comfortable, this car. It's got reach adjustment for the steering and dual zone climate control and all kinds of exciting things. Now, it's done 144,000 miles, so it's not in the first flush of youth. I can feel the suspension's a little bit tired in this, but I mean, it's not as bad as I thought it would be at all. The memories I have of having driven that Stilo multi-wagon that we cannot discuss on the channel many years ago, are that it sort of drove okay. Oh dear, I just discussed it. Never mind. And this is fine. It's got exactly the same engine as the Fiat Idea that I drove last year, that Mr. Richardson from Furious Driving temporarily owned. This 1.4 fire engine with 94 horsepower. At the start of Stilo production, the car was launched in 2002 in this country. In some markets it was available in 2001. The basic engine was a 1.2 fire engine, the same one as was in the Fiat Brava that I drove last year, with 80 horsepower. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot for a car like this, and it's probably not, but it's a really willing little engine. It's probably best at home in something like the Fiat Punto, that one. But yeah, it's okay. This 1.4, it replaced a 1.2 back in about 2004 it was. It does 0 to 60 in about 11.6 seconds, which I can believe. I mean, bear in mind this car is a 2007, it's done quite high mileage, but it still feels quite willing. Above that, there was a 1.6 that was also used in the Bravo and Brava with 103 horsepower. And then there was a 1.8 that was used in the Fiat Punto Mark II HGT. I think it's 129 horsepower, which probably is all you're ever going to need. But if you do need your Stilo to be very fast, then you can also go for the 2.45 cylinder with 170 horsepower. I know that was most certainly available with the 7-speed transmission. I think also you can get it as a manual, but I'm not entirely sure. What I'm quite impressed with about this particular Stilo, this late one, is that it's actually got a 6-speed gearbox in it. The Fiat Idea also had that too, and it drives okay. There are also some diesels available, but as usual, due to controversial government legislation and all kinds of other reasons, we don't talk about diesels on this channel. This engine actually makes quite a nice noise. The 1.2 that I drove in the Brava last year was also like this. It was a similar kind of characteristic. I've got to be a bit careful, I think, because I think we're in a 40 limit and I don't want to go too fast, but it actually is sort of egging me on to go a bit quicker, which is interesting. Gear change is quite a long throw on this car for some reason. Fiat's kind of aimed to make a Golf competitor with the Stilo. I'm not really sure they quite succeeded in it. It doesn't really feel like something like a Mark 5 Golf to drive. It's not even a Mark 4 really. I don't know what it feels like. It's fine. It's just perhaps not the kind of the best car we're doing. You know, like a Mazda 3 would probably run rings around this, actually, not necessarily for speed, but just in terms of the handling. It's a bit soft, the steering's it's okay, it's not too bad, but I have driven cars with better steering than this, like a Rover 45's got better steering than this, or a Mark 1 Ford Focus or something like that. It's fine. It's not nearly as bad as I thought it might be, but it's just not sort of exceptional in the way that little Italian cars, and I think the Tipo was an example of this, were pretty interesting to drive. Sort of fizzy little character. This just feels a bit on the kind of the bland side, which is probably a criticism that many people have of the Stilo. And the kind of way that the controls feel is just not as really as substantial as a lot of the kind of Volkswagen Group cars, like, I don't know, an Octavia or a Leon or a Toledo would have. So yeah, it's okay, but it's not the last one in dynamism, which you shouldn't really expect from a 1.4 car with 94 horsepower. Bear in mind, actually, the Leons of the day, they only had 75 horsepower with 1.4 engine, so that's one thing at least. But it's okay. It's just not really sort of earth-shattering particularly. Let's now look at some Fiat Stilo trim levels. So at the base of the range, there were three actives: the normal active, the active sport, and the active aircon. There was the blue, the dynamic, like this one, the sporting, the Abarth. The Abarth it came with a 2.4. The GT, the Prestigio, that also came with the 2.4. The Xbox Limited Edition from 2005, it was available to 1.6 engine. I have no idea why the Xbox and the Stilo be a good fit, but I'm not Fiat's marketing department. The Michael Schumacher Edition and the Schumacher GP, those also came with the 2.4 5-cylinder engine. So viewers, should you consider a Fiat Stilo for your hard-earned budget up to £1,000? I don't know. There's quite a few other cars that you could probably buy that do much the same thing as this one, that don't quite have the same level of problems that that these do. Rust, you know, rubberized plastic falling off on your fingers, electronics, engines that haven't been maintained properly, you know, that kind of stuff. I have enjoyed it very much, though. I'm very happy to have actually driven this car. I'm very thankful to Simon and Dale Langley Prestige for allowing me to drive one of their lovely part exchanges. Anyway, thank you ever so much to you once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment below, and we shall see you again soon for some more inexpensive motoring.